student at Prince George's Community College, and today I will be chairing your session. Before we begin, I would just like to ask that the microphones of the audience will be muted until you're able to ask questions or until the speaker allows you to ask questions. And I would just like to say that if you need help or assistance or anything, you can use the raise your hand function that Zoom gives you. And then I would also like to say that there's a survey that you're going to have to fill out or that you can fill out, but I'll put it in the chat later. And then I encourage you to keep your camera on, but your microphone off until you're allowed to ask questions, just to keep everything running smoothly. And now I would like to introduce the speaker, Professor Deborah Bowles. She is a coordinator of professional development at Prince George's Community College. She has a bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in marketing and communications and a master's in secondary education. Professor Bowles has been a coordinator at the college for several years. Prior to that, she worked as a senior consultant for an educational firm for 17 years. And before becoming a consultant, she taught high school social studies. In the fall of 2021, Professor Bowles joined the education department at the college part-time, where she teaches Prince George's County conditional teachers. Overall, Professor Bowles has been in education for over 25 years, and she is excited to share her knowledge and experience with us. So without further ado, let's welcome Professor Bowles.
Thank you, Ruby. I appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited. Happy Monday. Welcome to STEM Week. I'm excited to be the kickoff speaker. So we're going to start this off right. So as Ruby said, my name is Deborah Bowles. I have a background in education, professional development. I work here at the college as well in the education department as a professor and also in the professional development department. So we will be talking about tips to help you study more efficiently. But as Ruby said, feel free to ask questions at any time during this. This presentation is going to be very interactive. I don't like feeling like I'm talking to a computer, so feel free to open your mic and say something or type in the chat. I am fine with that. You can do it at any time. I am okay with that. But I'm excited to share with you, hopefully, some ideas that you can take away and that you can be a better learner because of what you found out here today. I can tell you that already. I'm sure you're great students and great learners because you took the time to come to this and you figured out how to get to something that you thought was important. So I already know you have the skills to be a great learner because you're doing what needs to be done. So let's talk about our objectives today. So at the end of this presentation, I hope you have some new ideas, that you think differently about what it means to learn, and that you walk away with at least 2 new strategies to study more efficiently. I know there's a lot out there about studying and study tips, and you can get overwhelmed, but hopefully you'll find something here that you can easily adapt and you can use and put in your life that will help you become a better learner. So what we're going to talk about is how do you understand the brain? What is the brain doing? Let's talk about ways to nourish the brain so that the brain can work at its greatest capacity. And then we're going to talk about the work. What is the work of the brain? So I want to actually take a minute and even slow down because I feel like I started and I just jumped in running, and I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to engage. So I want to take a minute and just type in the chat, say hi to somebody, say hi to me, tell me what you're studying, tell me something about yourself, type in the chat, say hi to everybody. Happy Monday. There we go. I love it. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yay. Okay, I can see the number of people in the room and the number of things in the chat. And are you slow typers? Is that what it is? So one thing about learning, and one thing that we're going to talk about, is that you need to take accountability for your learning. And when you're in class and when you're studying and when a professor asks something of you, I'm getting a lot of direct messages. Oh, you can do it to everybody. I'm okay. You aren't saying anything that couldn't be. Everybody's just saying good morning, but you're saying it all to me now. Yeah, you've got to make sure. Oh, it doesn't let you. Thank you, Patricia. It says you can't see them. It doesn't give you the option. Oh, I don't like that. Joseph, can you change that so they can send notes to everyone? And if not, we'll keep going. Oh, but we've lost our interactive component. But I'll have to read them very quickly. Is it, everybody's just saying good morning. Somebody says, who says this? Stephanie says her major's in nursing. Who else? Emily says good morning. Demetrius says good morning. Patricia doesn't give you the option. Oh, and we're up. Good morning. Thank you, Joseph. Go, Joseph. That is our tech department. He is thebomb.com. There we go. Now we're seeing it. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, we'll keep going. So what we're going to talk about is how do you understand the brain? The brain is an organ, and there are some tricks to making the brain function better. Talk about nourishing the brain and talking about the work that the brain does need to do and you need to make it do. So understanding the brain. You guys are probably too young for this, but there was an old commercial that said, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. And so I'd say, well, I am not a doctor and I don't play one on TV and I don't even pretend that I know all about the brain, but I do know this. The brain is an organ and the brain does grow and develop, and it continues to grow and develop as you age. It never stops. If you keep giving it more knowledge and more information, it will continue to grow. So how does the brain grow? Lots of different ways. It grows through repetition. It grows through making connections, and it grows through discussing ideas. And all of this comes out of the book, We're Born to Learn, if you want to learn more about it. But one thing is the brain learns through repetition. So how can you repeat something? Repeat, repeat, repeat. So I'm going to give you a brain teaser and I want you to solve it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you another one. And you're going to realize the second time it was easier to get it because the brain learns through repetition. So feel free to type it in the chat, or if you want to open your mic and say it when you've got it, either way is fine. So solve this brain teaser. Crazy in Love. There it is. Somebody got it. Not quite Crazy Love. Crazy in Love, right? Beyonce, come on now. Come on. Crazy in Love was it. Yeah, there we go. So now that your brain sees the pattern, the next time it will be easier. The brain loves repetition. Try it again. What's this one? There we go. Do you see how much quicker that was? The first time it took a little bit because your brain was like, what is this? And then the second time your brain was like, got it. Repeat, repeat, repeat. You are probably taking so many different classes. Every class is not the same. The things that you need to learn in every class are not the same. The ways that you can study are not the same. But if you can remember some tricks about learning, and a trick about learning is the brain loves repetition, okay? It loves repetition. The more you do it, the better it gets. So in math, when they're giving you all these problems again and again and again, they're doing it because they know the brain loves repetition. So think about, what does that look like in your classes? What can you do in your class, whatever class it is, so that you repeat, repeat, repeat? Another thing that I love, and is that the brain learns through hearing the ideas of others. And we're going to talk about that in discussion. So when I sort of say these comments, and they're not really rhetorical, I have no problem with you typing in the chat. Rhetorical means that I don't want an answer. I actually do want an answer. So when I say, what does that look like in your subject? I want you to be thinking about that. And if you type in the chat, makes me think about my biology class. And when I'm in biology, I have to do this, this, this. I have to know different terms. I have to know, and so flashcards work for me. So if you want to type that in the chat, that is awesome, because we learn together. There are 30 of us in here, and I'm sharing my ideas, but that means we're missing out on 29 other people and their ideas. So feel free to fill up the chat with ideas and things that you're thinking about as we go through this presentation. The brain loves to make connections. Can you connect it to something? The brain loves that. I'll say this, I'll probably say it again, but be aware of your words. Speak positive and speak what you want. I meet people all the time and they say, I can never remember names. And I'm like, oh, and as long as you keep saying that, you will never remember names. You have to tell your brain what you want it to do. I say it all the time. I am great at remembering names. I remember everybody's name. I am great at remembering names. I remember everybody's name. I have tricks with that. So like Ruby, I met Ruby this morning and I saw her name and I immediately made a connection. I love ruby red grapefruit. So now I see Ruby and I think ruby red grapefruit. And I will never forget Ruby's name because every time I see her, my brain goes ruby red grapefruit. And I love ruby red grapefruit. And so I smile and I think of Ruby. So how can you make a connection with something? I am learning Spanish and I have been for years. So if anybody's out there learning Spanish, oh my goodness, there's some tricks. So if you know this word, if you're studying Spanish, don't say, oh, I know what it is. But your brain sees this word. And if you do not know it, the brain doesn't know what to do with it. It's like, okay, there's a word. It has no connection whatsoever. But if I do this, now your brain can make a connection. So think about that. Is there a visual you can add to a word that will help you to remember it? So type in the chat, what do you think una cartera is? There we go. It's a purse, it's a bag. It's, yeah, great. For me, I make another link, Cartier. Doesn't it, who wants a Cartier bag? I could use a Cartier bag. So this is so similar to Cartier for me. I think una cartera and my mind says Cartier. So make a connection. What can you do to make a connection? So people sometimes say, I'm a visual learner. I'm an auditory learner. I'm a kinesthetic learner. Can I tell you, you are all the types of learners, okay? So the brain does not compartmentalize. It works everything together. You're learning right now because I'm saying it, you're hearing it, you're seeing it. Hopefully you're doing something because I'm making you type in the chat. Your brain is learning several ways. And so it's also that repetition of I'm getting you to do it several ways because I know the brain is going to remember more. Yes, by looking at it. That visual component is huge. So again, think about that. What does that look like in your studies? How can you incorporate that? You know, another thing about the brain likes things to be fun. So can you doodle it? Doodle it. Make it a funny doodle, something that you will remember and your brain will laugh at. When your brain connects something to an emotion, it remembers it even more. Yes, I love it, Stephanie. Use color pens. I love it. Thank you. Great. Yes. And that's another thing that I talk about, or I'll talk about a little bit later, being organized. I'm something years old. This is really not important. But I have a pencil carrying case. And in my pencil carrying case, I have tons of pens. I have colored pencils. I have erasers. I have a pencil sharpener in case my pencil breaks. I mean, I have all these things that I can make learning fun and engaging for me. I love it. Great. So the brain learns through repetition. The brain learns through making connections, and the brain learns through discussion. And we're going to talk about discussion a little bit later because it connects later, but we will come back to discussion. So discussing ideas and concepts with people, even just in this forum, I'm trying to get you to interact. Even if you're not going to open your mic, I want you to type back and forth because it is that exchange of ideas that is helping the brain. Nourish the brain. Yes. I was reading about what the brain needs for nourishment. And I found this picture, and it was in the article I was talking about reading. It said there were about 15 things that nourish the brain. And then I found this picture, and it has almost all of the 15. I was like, this is a perfect picture. But I want you to type in the chat, what do you not see in this picture? If there was like some big food group or some, what is not in the picture? Yeah, right. Fast food, junk food,
Meat.
processed foods, meat. Yeah, there's salmon in here. Lean meats was the one that was missing from the picture. But yeah, meat is missing too. But the processed food, the sugar, the fast food, the chips, the junk. Oh, even dairy wasn't on the list. Oh, that's a good one. Bread. Yeah. So watch your diet. You are feeding your brain every time you eat. Is it something that your brain can use? I was talking to my mom the other day. She's struggling with her diet. She's getting a little older, and, she's confused about things. And I said, Mom, stop listening to all the, everything changes. What does your body recognize as food? Can you just eat that? What does your body recognize as food? And that's not the junk. That's not the processed food. It's very whole, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, fish. So nourish your brain. The brain loves exercise. It does. I exercise not to lose weight, honestly. It's just because I know it's good for the body. I go out walking every day during lunch because I know it helps me. So what do you do to help your brain? To nourish your brain, to relax your brain, to strengthen your brain? Yes, I enjoy running before class. Stress relief. Yeah, to wake up the brain. Oh, read a book. I love it. I'll just say this here because I don't know where else it fits, but I was gonna at one point just have you stand up, because sitting, after a while, your body just sort of goes to sleep. It slows down. And I was sitting in a class the other day and I felt a little bad, but I had to stand up in the back because I was like, I'm going to sleep. I'm not engaged. And I know I need to at least stand up. Meditate. I enjoy going to the gym in the evening. I love it. I love it. Great. So what are you doing? What are you doing to encourage your brain, to strengthen your brain, for stress relievers? I love listening to calming music. I love jazz. I love classical. I love that soothing sound. I love Motown too. Ooh, what is Wordle? Uh-oh, I'm gonna make a note because it sounds like a game, and I'm gonna look into it. And I love games. It sounds like a word game. I like to listen to Podcast Unexplained. Ooh, is that the name of the podcast? I will be looking at that. Okay, it is a game. Okay. Unexplained. Watching movies. Yes. I mean, take some downtime. The brain needs the downtime too. So don't overload yourself. I feel more productive when I work out in the mornings before doing anything else. Me too. And I'm so looking forward to this good weather that we're getting into, because then I can get up early. The sun is out. I go walking before work. It is a great way to start the day and a great way to energize your mind. Great. So think about ways you can nourish your brain. I love it. Excuse me. Okay, let's talk about working the brain. The brain does need some work. And what are you doing? Learning is not a passive process. You cannot just sit in class and the professor speaks to you and you get it and then you move on. That's not how it works. If that's how it works, we'd all be doctors and lawyers. I mean, we'd have reached the pinnacle of all of it. It's not the way it works. You have to do the work. And what does that work look like? So for everyone, it's going to look different. What does that work look like for you? I'm going to give you some ideas, but that doesn't mean that this is the way it is. I'm just trying to get you to think about, what does it mean for you? So for me, and these are some ideas, and I want you to think of others. I'm a big believer in speak positive. Speak positive. Just keep saying it until you just keep saying it. I cringe every time a student says, I'm not good in math. I'm like, oh, please stop saying it. Stop saying it. You're training your brain to believe it. That is a lie. You are great in math. Speak it. I am great in math. I'm getting there. I'm learning. I'm doing better every day. If you can't say I'm great at it, okay, say I'm getting better every day. I'm smart. I'm a genius. Do the self-talk. Some people think it's silly, but I do self-talk every day. I did it before this. I was like, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be great. It's going to be engaging. Do your self-talk. I am great at this. I am great at this. I am great at this. Say it to yourself until you believe it. And then you're going to see it start to happen. I totally believe that. Yes. You know what? I was talking to an adult the other day, a colleague of mine, and they were talking about, oh, I just said something negative about myself. And I said, yes, and I heard you. And we're going to talk because no, I don't care. And you think at a certain age, you just get there. You don't get there. Can I help you out? You don't get there. You will be working on some things for the rest of your life. And one of those is your mind, because your mind is your servant, and you better figure out how to make it do what you want it to do. I agree. Personally, before I start doing work, reading, or studying, I tell my mind that I love it so it can flow easily. I love it. I am great at chemistry. Go ahead, Stephanie. I come in agreement with that. You are great at chemistry. You have got that. You have got an A in that class. What else? I need to work on that. Yeah, and it definitely works. It works. Train yourself. Get a good night's sleep. Your body does need that. I know it's not always easy. Be aware with all this technology. I've started, it's not easy, but I'm like an hour before bed, I turn off technology. I have found it makes me very restless, and I don't get a good night's sleep because, and I guess it is a scientific reason, the blue light and all those things, but I just found I do better when I turn off the technology, and for an hour before bed, I read a book or I listen to music and I calm my body down and I get a better night's sleep. Yeah, what was Beatrice? Let's go, Beatrice. We got this. Hey, do we have a study partner there? I love it. Okay. And even just somebody that will work with you, talk with you. Plan to arrive early. Plan your day, and be prepared. I am amazed. Yes, I'm amazed when I go to class and students don't have a paper and pen. Like, what did you think you were going to do today? I mean, what did you think? Bring your computer, bring your pen, bring your paper, be prepared to learn, because you are going to be asked to do something. Yes, positive affirmations. Figure, what does that look like for you? I used to have, and I still in my house, it's funny if you saw my office, I have positive affirmations all over and all these different colors, and they make me happy. At the beginning of this presentation, I started off with a beautiful picture. I mean, how did that make you feel? What are you showing yourself constantly so that you put yourself in a good mood, that you put yourself in a situation that you can learn? So get prepared. In class, be present, be attentive. I've been in some classes and students are asleep, but you're not getting points for being there. I mean, why are you sleeping in class? How is that helping you? So what are you doing to be attentive? Take notes. Does that help you? Take notes, record. You know, there's a lot of science about if you write it is better than typing it. It's better than recording it. It's better than, all of it's good. But if you can engage your body and move it, it's going to help you. It's that repetition. Take ownership. I was in one class and the professor said, this is important. And he went on and he spoke about it. And he said, this is important. And he kept speaking about it. And he said, this is important. And I was like, y'all ain't listening. He just said 3 times about this thing. It is important. He's trying to get you to take ownership and realize I should be paying attention right now. But he can't do it for you. You have to decide, I'm going to do something. I'm going to be active. I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to ask questions. Professors love questions. They really do. They really do. They want you to ask because they know you're engaged. Make my notes colorful and neat. Helps me to remember. I love it, Ruby. Great. Yes. So when we were in elementary school, they taught you questions start with these things, these words. Questions start with this. I want you to type it in the chat. What do questions start with? It's not a trick question. What do questions start with? There we go. There we go. There we go. We know it. Who, what, when, where, why, and sometimes how. Who, what, when, where, why, and sometimes how. We learned it. So we know how to ask questions. We just have to get better at asking them. So in your class, when you say to your professor, I don't understand, first of all, it's not a question, it's a statement, but your professor doesn't even know what you don't understand. So you have to be able to clarify what you don't understand. So if you don't understand something, it's great. But how do you put that into words? Get over being shy and nervous. Yeah, Stephanie, your professors want what's best for you. They want to know, they want to help you. And we can't help you if you don't tell us what your questions are or what you don't understand. So if you say, I don't understand, what the professor is going to say is, what don't you understand? And you're going to have to be able to clarify. I don't understand how you solved that problem. I don't understand the word that you used. I don't understand how this connects with this. We are waiting for students to ask questions. Okay, so we know that questions start with who, what, when, where, why, and sometimes how. So what I'm going to do is I am going to read a text to you, and I want you to come up with questions. Joseph, are you there? Are you able to drop the document in the chat?
I still wasn't able to do so.
Okay.
Still working on that.
Okay, that's fine. So the document will be on the screen, and hopefully it's something that's a little familiar to you. It is Emma Lazarus' poem that's on the Statue of Liberty, The New Colossus. But hopefully you have paper and pen, or you can type your questions right in the chat as I'm reading it. So remember, questions start with who, what, when, where, why, and how. And questions usually come from things you don't understand. It's okay to say, I don't understand, and I don't know this word, or I don't know what this person is talking about. I'll have to tell you, I looked up some things the first time I read this. I was like, the new Colossus, what was the old Colossus? I mean, it raised the title raised the question for me. And I was like, and what is a Colossus? And I had to look it up. So don't think your professors are like, I have arrived and I know everything. They're not. They're just further on the journey than you are. So be okay with that. Students can support other students when a question is asked. Yes, it's the whole we're smarter together. Great question. Or I was wondering the same thing. I love when my students create a supportive environment for each other. I love it too, Tracy. I love it in the chat. I love it when they support each other. I love it when they, yes, I said the same thing. I didn't know either. Who is going to be the brave one and step up and say, Professor, that was confusing as all get out. Now, I mean, you don't have to say it like that, but if you are confused, if you have a question, somebody else might have the same question. So go ahead. I love it. So I'm going to read the poem to you. It's going to be on the screen as well. I want you to create questions. Anything that you don't understand, ask a question about it. Anything that seems important, can you turn that into a question? And anything that creates an emotion in you, like, oh, that was weird. Or, I don't like that. What? Write a question about it. Turn it into a question. So while I'm reading this, I want the chat to just fill up with questions. Oops, sorry, hit the wrong thing. Okay. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Heap ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp, beside the golden door. Why is it called the mother of exiles? What is the giant brazen of Greek fame? Yes, Ruby, I had to look that one up. I was like, what are they talking about? I don't know. Great. What else? Ooh, there are 40 people in here. And yet I'm seeing the same names. I love it. I was about to ask the same thing, Ruby. I love it. What is it referring to when it says your masses yearning to breathe free? I love it. Who is the author? Great. I didn't put it up there. Great. Any question is a good question. It's a valid question. Ask it. What does the golden door represent? Metaphorical or physical? Ooh, I love it, Abraham. Great. The author is actually Emma Lazarus. Let me get that before it jumps too far. But Emma Lazarus is the author of the New Colossus. Okay, so we're talking about discussion. Oh, there's the poem. Is that the poem, Joseph? Thanks, Joseph. Okay, so one of the ideas was discussion. You learn more when you hear the ideas of others. So somebody said, I'm not going to catch all these. What is it referring to? Your masses yearning to breathe free. The masses yearning to be free. Somebody help me out. What do you think that means? The masses yearning to breathe free. And while we're doing this, whoever Benjamin said, when was this poem written? Some questions are factual, which means you can find the answer. You are all on the internet. Now you know you got another screen open and you're doing something else anyway. Why don't you look it up? When was the New Colossus written? And somebody put the answer in the chat. Ooh, I think it might be metaphorical. What does that mean, metaphorical, Ruby? And Demetrius says it's a reference to America being referred to as the land of the free. The masses yearning to breathe free. Is that what you're saying, Demetrius? Feel free to open your mic. I'm okay with it. Yes. Okay. People who might be in bondage, Phyllis says. I'm missing things because it's going so fast, but people who have an oppressive government. Okay. I'm still waiting for metaphorical, Ruby. What does it mean? Be careful using words you're going to get called out on. I had a colleague do it the other day. I said, I'm the one. I will ask you what you mean by that. Don't think you're going to impress me with a word. What does it mean? Ooh, what? Who's laughing?
Phyllis.
Hey, Phyllis.
Hi.
I love it. I love it. Why is she with silenced lips? A figure of speech, Beatrice. Are you helping out, Ruby? Yeah, help each other. Don't leave her under there by herself. We're all in this together. It's okay. It's okay. It's a figure. Yeah, there we go. It's a figure of speech. Okay, it could be a figure of speech. Why would she use a figure of speech to talk about masses yearning to breathe free? Thank you, Benjamin. Written in 1883 by Emma Lazarus. See? I don't have to be the know-it-all. Why not? I didn't know. You could look it up, 1883. Ooh, and then that makes me think about what was happening in the country at that time, because I'm a social studies person. Remember, the brain loves connection. Connection. Metaphor is a comparison to something else. Okay, Abraham. So what was the connection the author was making when she said masses yearning to breathe free? What is she connecting it to? Ooh, what's the applause for, Ashley? I love it. Can lips be silent? Deep, deep. Somebody asked another question. I'm going to sort of jump to it, but feel free to answer anything that I'm talking about. Somebody said, why is she with silent lips? And then somebody else said, can lips be silent? What do you think? Can lips be silent? And why with silent lips? Masses might mean a lot of people she's referring to. I love it. Oops, now it's going fast. Silent lips because she's a statue with closed lips. Yes. Oh, you can suffer in silence. Yes. Okay. Is the poem trying to get us to think that somebody's suffering in silence? And who is suffering? Masses might mean, I'm not quite seeing it because accused masses might mean a lot of people she's referring to. You can suffer in silence. Yeah. So the poem is in the chat. I think Joseph was able to get it there. So print it out. And if you need to see it, the first big immigration from Europe to the US through Ellis Island. Awesome, Benjamin. What was that? Was that what was happening in 1883? Is that what you're telling us? And that is why she's using a metaphor. Oh, things are getting confused. Beatrice, what do you mean? Why is she using a metaphor method? Oh, because of the
silent lips, the silent lip. That's why I forgot her name. The name she's using, she says with metaphor because of the silent lip.
Okay, great. I love it. Thank you for the voice. Not speaking into the void. I love it. The big melting pot. Yeah, the big melting pot. Demetrius, what do you mean? Is that what she's talking about? Or did that come later? Who is? Oh, Demetrius. Oh, Demetrius. Yay, I see somebody. Oh, I'm even happier. Go ahead.
That's what I think she means by give me your tired, your poor, your hurdled masses, being referred to as the great melting pot, which is why a lot of people today will want to come to America because they believe there's more opportunities.
So this is sort of my next question. I'm going to ask you, Demetrius, because you were brave. So then why does she call people the wretched refuse? If somebody called you wretched refuse, would you want to come? I mean, let me say, why does she call them wretched refuse?
I believe that's because, well, America has a lot of pride as a nation. So, of course, we're going to look at ourselves as better than the immigrants trying to come in.
So why would she call them wretched? Oh, so she's calling them wretched refuse because she doesn't think they're as good as Americans?
Yes.
But for somehow we all immigrants in this country.
Right?
We all, from the beginning until now.
So what do you think? Who is that? Phyllis? I can't see who's speaking.
No, it's not me. I'm going back and reading.
Oh, okay. Good for you. Who just spoke? Who said we're all immigrants?
Beatrice.
Oh, that was Beatrice. Hey, Beatrice. So then why call them wretched refuse?
Mm.
And anybody can help. I think it's interesting.
For what I'm saying, it's like they say it's a label they use in this society to describe people who are struggling to overcome the status as an immigrant. That's the label they put on the name.
So do you think it is a positive thing that she calls them wretched refuse, or is she trying to be encouraging?
For me, I can say yes and no. For some people, that can be a motivation for you to move forward with your life, be strong. You don't want to have that label in your name because she called me that. That's gonna help me to keep moving with their life and find a better side of my life. But for some people, that can be a negative thing and put that people down to say, okay, you know what? I came to this country. I didn't come for all that. And I don't like that label. So that's who I am. If they call me like that, that's who I am. And the other side, some people can like, if you call me that, that's a way for me. That's mean that was better than this. So I'm going to find what's better for me. I'm not going to stay with that name.
See somebody who jumped up. Who is this? I don't want to get the name wrong. John Bosco? Oh, no. Okay. You weren't going to say anything.
Oh, This Phyllis.
Okay, hey Phyllis.
Hey, I don't think it's in a negative way. Use the wretched. I think it's positive because I think it's talking about like immigrants who have literally had enough of where they were coming, had been previously before, whether it was a dictator or something like that, and they decided to step out on faith and come to the US with pretty much little or nothing, but they're taking that chance to better themselves and get away from, I'm thinking pretty much the hardship and oppression from where they were. So I think where it says something about teaming the shore, I think it's a positive thing. So they're leaving where they were to come to a better place.
Okay, can I just add something to that?
Go for it.
Okay, this is John Bosco. I want to allude to what the last speaker talked about, which is in a positive, because most people that come to the US, they have this belief that the US is better off than where they're coming from.
Mm.
And so for them, it is a positive motivation for them, probably on account of the oppression where they are coming from, the economic hardship, and other factors or variables that necessitated their coming to the US. So for those kind of people, it motivates them to go for the best that life offers. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for all those people who spoke. And there's a ton going on in the chat. I love it.
Professor,
go for it. Yes.
Karina here.
Hey.
Hi. Hello, everyone. First to begin, I didn't understand the poem because some of the words I do not comprehend. Mm-hmm. So what I did was Google what wretched means. And it literally means in poor and pitiful circumstances. So in terms of the whole poem, I think what they're trying to say is that these, and they talk about the masses, and what I came to understand that masses is a group of people or a whole lot of people. And so they're talking about the masses, and the masses that referring to are wretched, which is poor or in pitiful circumstances. So as I always saying, yes, we are all immigrants and we all want a better life in the United States of America or Europe, probably. And we are the masses that come into this country, but we are poor, we are rich, we are unfortunate, and this is probably our only hope to come into this country to get a better life. So I think all the words they're using is like, instead of just saying poor, pitiful, we are we in different circumstances, or we have nothing going for us in our own country. That is how they just describe it in a whole as wretched. The masses, the people coming to the country, and they are wretched, meaning they are poor, they are pitiful. We got nothing going on for us in our country. We're miserable, which is part of the explanation as wretched, and refuse of your own teaming shore. And that I came to understand, teaming as well, meaning full of people or things or crowded, which can be same as maybe as masses. So yeah, that's what I came across with being wretched.
Love it. I love it. Do you see what happens when discussion happens? You hear more ideas, you learn from other people. And I love it. People are saying, well, I had to look this up and I did that. Yeah, take some ownership. Why is it that I have to look it up? Why do I have? You can look up things that you don't know. And then when you have that discussion, you hear other people's ideas and it makes you say, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Oh, let me think about this again. I don't think it's the job of a professor to sort of wrap everything in a bow and be like, okay, here it is, done. I want you to walk away with questions and things that you still wonder about. So this poem, I hope you think about it later. I hope you talk about it with somebody else. I hope you say, I still have a question. I still want to discuss. I still want to know. Great. Look, study.
And
learn.
I just
Yes,
discovered something. when I was reading it, they said, I left my lamp beside the golden door, and which referred to the Statue of Liberty in New York with the lamp that she left beside the golden door, which represent America.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and think about connections. I'm a big social studies person, but it makes me think about, well, let's think about America today. What is it like? And even things that are happening in Russia and the Ukraine right now, and the refugees all over the world. It hopefully you start to make connections and you think about other things. But that's what learning is. Learning is not this one little thing, this one little piece. It is repetition. It is discussion. It is connection. It is growing. It's listening and learning from others, not just your professor, but other students in your class. You can learn from them as well. I love it. Remember, we're on Work the Brain. It takes work. It takes work. It takes work. What are you doing? This gets into ownership. What are you doing that is the work? Instead of just relying on your professor to do it, or what are you doing? So in class, at the end, do some things for yourself. Before you leave the class, just decide, make some decisions. Before I leave this class, I'm going to summarize what were the main points of this lecture. Can I do that? Was I active in this class so that I can go back and say, okay, these are the main points. Remember, the brain loves repetition. You've got to give it repetition. Traffic light. Traffic light is a traffic light. It has green, yellow, red. Write 3 notes to yourself. Green, I got this. Whatever this idea is, I understand the idea of creating or solving this type of equation. Green, got it. Yellow, I need help with. Yellow, I'm still struggling with, and then write yourself a note. I'm still struggling with this concept. Red, I need help. I need to stop. I need to go back. I need my professor. I need something. Red is something that I still don't get. Okay, so you could choose to do that. Green, yellow, red. An exit ticket. Write yourself an exit ticket. If your professor doesn't ask for one, fine, do one for yourself. An exit ticket is, what did you learn in class today? Make yourself accountable. This is not just, oh, I was there, check the box. What did you learn? What are you going to do differently because of this class? So give yourself an exit ticket, or do the muddiest point. I'm telling you, your professors would love, they really would, if you came in the next day and started off the class with, Professor, I have a question about something that you talked about last time. I didn't understand it. The muddiest point is something that you didn't get. It was not clear. I tell students it's clear. I say it's clear as mud, right? And then they don't say anything. I'm like, you realize mud isn't clear. Do you realize that? I'm trying to, mud is not clear. So if I say it's clear as mud, that means you don't understand. So tell them, I didn't understand something. They will reach out to you and they will help you all that they can. So self-assess. And then after class, remember, repeat. The brain loves repetition. Connect. Can you connect it somehow? Discuss. Can you create a study group? I was in one class. I'll tell you, I sit in on classes to observe professors, and I love it because I can tell you at the end of the class, I can tell you who the A students are. I don't know anything about any of the students, but I guarantee I will tell the professor afterwards, here are your A students. And how do I know? They're engaged. They're engaged. They ask questions, they make comments. I was in one class, it was the first day of class, and this student said, Professor, I've started a study group. Can I ask my classmates if they'd like to participate? What do you think the professor said? Yes, please, go for it. Are you kidding me? They started their own study group because they knew they wanted to talk to people about ideas. There are tutoring centers on campus. There's help available. Your professor has office hours. They are waiting for you to come to them and talk to them. I have office hours. I sit there. Nobody comes to see me. It's a very depressing time. I wonder, like, I'm here to talk. You can just talk about ideas. Like, I want to talk about something. Your professor is waiting for you. So figure that out. What does that look like for you? Ruby, can you drop the link in the chat? So if you were looking for something that was much more specific, you wanted like real, like organizer, outline, note cards. Okay, all that is available. All that's online. You can research some of those things, best ways to study and all that. So Ruby's going to put a link in the chat, and I have sort of organized it all together onto what we call a Padlet. You do have to sign up for the account, but it's a free account. It's just trying to keep record of things. And then you can log into this site and you can download all sorts of graphic organizers and time management sheets and notes, ways to take notes, and all of that is there and available to you. But I really hope that if you think about the brain loves repetition, the brain loves connection, the brain loves discussion, all of that fits into those areas. So remember at the beginning of this, my objectives were that you would think differently about learning and that you would walk away with at least 2 new strategies, excuse me, hopefully that can help you to study more. So I'm going to ask for an exit ticket because I want to know. Type in the chat, what did you learn from this presentation and how will you apply it?
Yeah, Professor, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, this is John Bosco
Hey,
speaking.
John Bosco. Yes.
Yeah, so you talked about the need for the brain to rest so it could be able to deliver a good output.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is this, for some students that are involved in so many activities, maybe they're working and at the same time they are schooling, and it put pressure, too much pressure on their brain. So what's your suggestion on that?
Yes. I teach a class now, and the people that I teach are teachers. So they are teaching and they're taking classes and they have family and they have, my thing is time management. You have to come up with a schedule and you are going to have to carve out time. There is a great book and it's called Margin. You have to figure out how to create margin in your life, which is rest. What does that rest look like? And the rest may not be the rest that I have. For me, sometimes during the day, the rest is I take 5 minutes and I listen to a song that I find encouraging and relaxing. So it may not be that you can take an hour and go walking. That's fine. I said during my lunch break, I go for a walk. I have a lunch hour and I make sure every day I take my hour. I don't care. I'm taking my hour. That is my hour. I'm taking it. You better figure out the time for yourself. How do you make sure that you make that time sacred and that you use it? So figure that out. Maybe in the beginning, it's only a 5-minute song a day that you can do to rest and to relax. But you got to find something. I said in another course, time is the great equalizer. Everybody gets 24 hours. You choose what you do with it. Nobody makes that decision for you. You have to choose. So you decide what's important. Now that you know the brain needs rest, how do you figure out how to get that time into your schedule? Thank you, John Bosco. And I was going to open it up to, sure, open it up to any questions that you have. I love it. Work the brain, connect, repeat, be more positive, encourage. I will encourage more discussion in my classes. I love it. Building community. Yes. I learned to ask questions and to encourage my peers. Yeah, come on now. Encouragement is a little thing, but it really means a lot to people. You remember those encouraging phrases. You really do. I wish I could print this chat. I want a copy of all this. I also learned to use positive affirmations. I learned how to work my brain in different ways. I love it. I love it. Oh, Joseph, I want a copy of this. What else? Work my brain. I need to be more active and ask more questions in class. Take ownership of my effort. I love it. Yes, take ownership. Your professors are there to help you, but you don't ask the question, you don't make that they can't. They can only do so much. Social networking, ask questions, work my brain. Don't be scared to ask. I love it. And engage in class. I love it. Yes, please. Overcome. There's nothing to be afraid of. There really isn't. I'm telling you, I'm learning Spanish, and I go to this Spanish class, and it's so cute because they always say, this is a safe space, make mistakes, make mistakes. And I'm making mistakes, but that's how you learn. It's okay. You know, figure out some things for yourself. I mean, as I said, you're going to be growing and learning your entire life. I have something, and I have tricks that I do for myself. And one thing that I do is, Deborah, will it matter a week from now what happens in this class? You know, if you make a fool of yourself, or if somebody says something about you, are you really going to hold on to that and remember it next week? And usually the answer is no. But if I say, yes, I'm still going to remember it, it hurt me. And then I'll say, okay, Deborah, are you going to remember it next month? And then it's like, no, I'm not going to remember it next month. So then why do you care now? Take the risk, make a mistake. That's how you learn. Think about, again, it's the brain. When you were learning to walk, you stumbled and fell. Did you stop trying to walk? No, you figured it out, and now you walk and you don't even think about it. So failing, making mistakes is a part of learning, and it's a part of growth. And let me help you out. There is never a point in your life that you stop making mistakes. I'm over 20 and I still make mistakes. It's a part of life, and it's okay. I learned to think positively. Yes. Feed the brain with the right food. Yes. Repetition, and make use of resources around me. Yeah, please use the resources. You've got your professors, you've got tutoring centers, you've got classmates that want to help you. You've got me. You can always send me an email if you ever have a question about anything. If you ever I need help with this, who do I contact? You can always reach out to me, and I will help you.
Yeah, Professor, quick question.
Sure.
Yeah. How do we get your email in case we need to reach out to you?
So it's on the screen right now, but it is my name, Bowles, Bowles, and then DM, Deborah Marie, at pgcc.edu. So my last name, Bowles, Bowles, my initials, DM, at pgcc.edu.